Welcome, and thank you very much for joining this session, which is going to really focus on the non-carbon elements of carbon offsetting, the community benefits, the economic benefits, the health and biodiversity benefits. And we've got a wonderful panel, a truly remarkable panel, because from my perspective it represents an ecosystem of actors who've been in this market for a fairly long time, I have to say. Ben, I'm not looking at you when I say that, others here, and have really begun to play critical roles that ensure that corporates who are purchasing carbon offsets for their offset inclusive carbon management programs are already getting a range of additional values that make it worth their while to use these instruments for their programs.
I think at this point now, I see projects having to have three things. The first thing, we know they need to have credible carbon components so that there's a central currency that can be used. And that's the grease that allows this ecosystem, maybe not the grease, that's the food of the ecosystem. We sort of have to have a common currency. And I don't think any projects are going to make it out there unless they can talk about strong co-benefits. And we've seen that in the voluntary market, as well as some of the compliance market, where the dirty offsets or the brown offsets that have very little social or environmental components have really gotten booted out first. And the ones that are surviving are projects that do good in numerous arenas. And then I think what we're also seeing now is, and I'd love to hear what the others think about this, projects also have to have a much more mature conversation with governments. Early on, you could almost do a project and just put your blinders on and move forward and try and do good co-benefits. But now with the emergence of a California compliance market, with the jurisdictional red stuff that's going on with the VCS, I think offset investors are starting to look for projects that can scale up and have intelligent conversations with government about the role of good projects in state and regional and national development plans.
In the demand side of the market, you started to see an evolution as well, whereas it used to be that you used to just report your greenhouse gas emissions, and that's what you had to do because that's what CDP said you had to do, that's even what the climate registry said you had to do, you had to report your emissions. But now, in 2014, reporting your emissions is not enough, actually. You actually need to take action. So in many cases, that's actually, you need to change the light bulbs. I need to maybe change your chiller. And you need to maybe even take some commitments on reducing your corporate footprint that might involve some offsetting. And I think that's a huge change. And I don't see any backtracking on that. And I think over the years, we've seen an ongoing commitment of the corporates who've taken on that commitment. They're not backsliding. And you start to see more and more. Microsoft last year was a great story. Chevy is a great story. And you're starting to see more and more of that. I think over time, you'll start to see that people will recognize this. And if we're talking about a compliance market, I think going back to a Republican member of Congress of the Senate, Lindsey Graham, if you all recall, back when we were having a discussion in this country about having proper carbon legislation, he's the one who said, we got to get this done because it's the young people who care about this. And he said that. I don't know what exact words, but I think there's a growing recognition that the young people in this country and the world know that this is a problem. There's no debate on whether this is happening or not. And I think over time, we'll start to recognize and come around to the idea that we need to do something about it. So I think, back to the point about kind of our discussion here, what I find so compelling about the offsetting is that it formally structures a pay-for-performance system in a way that delivers tangible benefits on the ground. And for a long, long time, we've all been worried about, all these development efforts that don't go for naught, and there's money down rat hole, et cetera, et cetera. Well, actually, with carbon, you actually get the results. And it's farmers and community members, like Ben was describing, in the field, receiving that money, going to planting that other tree, that are making a huge difference in people's lives. And I think, there's a number of different elements to the story. And although we don't have it now, I think we are building that case and that story to make a significant impact in the future.
On the question of of the benefits being important, the answer, as far as we're concerned, is absolutely yes. I'm not sure that that's true for everyone. But ours does have such a special focus on all the other benefits, and the way it's all been structured and the way it's been organized by the farmers for themselves, and they determined what they were doing, and they determined where they're planting and what they're planting and all that kind of stuff. If we don't get paid for the story, then we wouldn't be able to do all the things that we're doing. The health training, all the other pieces of the puzzle that has allowed it to go viral, all the stuff about making sure that women had a chance to be quantifiers, to be leaders, to get started, new clusters started. All that was necessary, and it costs money. So yes, you need to have all those extra benefits to pay for doing all those extra benefits.
At the Alliance, we're definitely looking at more and more quantification of benefits. So really taking the impact and having common metrics, common methodologies to be able to report on that. And I think that's important for a variety of reasons. It's certainly important for corporate buyers who are looking at carbon credits and seeing those, those benefits. It's important for us as an association that's raising money to fund our activities to show that we're actually having tangible benefits from performing those activities. So it's important for impact investors. That's the other part of my title. So, people who are wanting to put money in and get financial returns, but also social returns. So I think we're seeing more and more of this quantification of impacts is a very important area. And associations like ourselves, that we can play that role of trying to work across the sector and understanding what are the common metrics we can use, but also trying to finance research. Because that step between what's the output of a project and then what's the impact on the ground is often going to require research behind it to be able to show that link. And so being able to fund those research projects and deliver the results and have lots of different projects benefit from them, because it's expensive to do for an individual project or business, but the whole industry can benefit. So I think those are areas that we feel is where we can add some value, and certainly is going to only grow over time.
I love your question, because it goes to the question of scaling, right? If we really take ourselves as a community seriously, whether you're in a corporate or a nonprofit or a project developer or a broker who puts buyers and sellers together, we need that. And we have to be very honest that the nonprofit world is not great at elevator speeches with corporates, right? I mean, I wish I were. But I think
the problem is you're still taking the stairs.
Yeah. I mean, there's two things, right? One is, as Jonathan said, we need a hook to give that speech. We need to get those meetings. And this was, for me, it was a remarkable opportunity with John Brown, the head of BP globally. And we're on a phone call, and I said, I can't believe you're involved with this on a personal level. And his point, and we've heard it elsewhere with Chevy and some of the others, is this makes us attract the best talent. And we believe that our company is only as good as the people that we bring into our fold. And I think that it also goes a little bit to what David was saying, that the social contract, that corporations are no longer isolated, that their brands can either be attacked by the Greenpeaces or cuddled by the Nature Conservancies. But we need to turn that game up very significantly.
I do think that, if I were to conclude on the basis of the questions and the answers, that this ecosystem of remarkable people that we've heard from on the panel are building confidence in carbon finance and offset as being a mechanism that can address a range of issues that is now commonly being called natural capital, and is also providing a carrier gene, if I could use that word, a transactable element onto which these additional benefits can be added, measured, and then potentially in future be appropriately valued.